So I have been reading many reports speaking to the effects of gentrification in Harlem. What are your thoughts on the state of the overall health of the African diaspora in the U.S. and elsewhere, but particularly in Harlem, which you stated is so important and prolific as it relates to Black culture?
Well, Max, as it turns out, Atlanta may be the new Harlem of the 21st century, of the 2020s as opposed to the 1920s. And that is just the stone cold reality of return migration that has been going on since the 1970s. I meet a lot of people who come to visit the Schomburg Center, particularly people in their 60s, some in their 70s, who come annually to visit family, children and grandchildren, because they've left. They grew up here,
Wow.
or they came here as adults, but as retirees, they have moved to Florida, they have moved to Georgia, they have moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and that's changed things.
Yeah.
So, one, Black people are becoming a less urban people and a more suburban people,
Okay.
which means that institutions like this, whose histories are tied to space as well as tied to mission,
Right.
will have to negotiate changing neighbors, will have to negotiate changing audiences. I am committed to the core values of this institution being translated and communicated to non-Black people, because quite frankly, I think the health of this nation and the health of the African diaspora depends also on how much people who are not of African ancestry know about our history and about our culture, and value and privilege that in the same ways that people value and privilege other cultures that they are not a part of. So in terms of the gentrification's effect on the Schomburg Center, it means that the Schomburg Center has to be responsive to the changing demographics, where our quote-unquote old head supporters are no longer here. We can't count on them. So that means I've got to cultivate new audiences, and some of them are young, and some of them are white or Latino or Asian, in fact. In terms of the health of the African diaspora, one could say these are the best of times and the worst of times, to be about it.
Absolutely.
There's no question that the election of President Obama has changed the face of global leadership forever. Of his representation, not only for Black people in this country, but for Black and brown and yellow people all around the globe. Now, we have new matrices of racial inequality in this country, namely the criminal justice system is unprecedented in its size and scope and ability to disappear whole communities by virtue of a set of laws that, by any stretch of the imagination, are discriminatory.
Yeah, in fact, Michelle Alexander has a book out. Yeah,
the new Jim Crow.
Yeah, the new Jim Crow, speaking to that, right?
It's a great study of the war on drugs and the legal machinery that undergirds it. It makes it very difficult for us to dismantle it. So in terms of where we are in this country, we've got a president and we've got a prison system that are on two opposite sides of the divide in terms of measuring our racial progress. And fortunately, I'm in the position to help navigate that divide by bringing information to the public so that we can have informed conversations, that young artists can be inspired to use their voice to challenge the prison system, as well as young people be inspired to help the president be more effective in his leadership and those who come behind him.